I'm Emma, and I'm so excited you're here to explore our Teddy Lab. Here's some blood that was just drawn from one of our junior scientists, and here's some that we just got in the mail. Sometimes our Teddy kids can't come see us in Seattle, so they go to another lab. Let's take these upstairs. This is the Teddy Lab. This is where we process all the blood samples that you give us. Have you ever wondered what happens to your blood after it's drawn? Let's see if one of our Teddy scientists can tell us. Hey, Scientist Steve, could you tell us what happens to the blood samples?
Sure, what you got for me? As you can see, we take 4 tubes of blood. That's about a tablespoon and a half. And each one of these tubes has a different colored top on it and different chemicals inside that help us to look at different things in your blood. First thing we do is take the red tube, we balance it, and then we put it into a machine called a centrifuge, which spins at 2,600 RPM. That would be like spinning in a circle 2,600 times in a minute.
Wow, that's so fast!
This is what it looks like when it's done. Can you see the different layers? The first layer is the serum, the second layer is a gel barrier, and the third layer is your red blood cells. We use the serum to test for antibodies. Using a pipette, we take small amounts of serum from this tube and put it into these smaller tubes. The different colors on the tops tell us where they go and what tests to do on them. Then we put the small tubes into a box. The box goes into the freezer for storage until they're ready to be shipped. This tube has chemicals inside that let us look at viruses in your blood. To separate out everything in your blood, we have to shake it really hard like this. It gets all foamy, just like root beer. We use these tubes to look at white blood cells and vitamins in your blood. They're wrapped in foil because light can damage the vitamins and we like to protect them from light. We have to process these in a special room called a tissue culture room under a special hood called a biosafety cabinet so none of our germs get into your blood.
This is Robert, and he's going to process the blood from this foil-covered tube. Can you show us how you do that?
Sure. The chemical inside this tube separated your blood into 3 layers: the plasma layer, the buffy coat, and the red blood cells. I'm interested in the buffy coat because that's where your white blood cells are. White blood cells have to be handled very carefully and washed. First, I take this layer out of the tube using a pipette. Once I make sure the cells are clean and happy, they go in a special liquid that preserves them. Now I take a small sample to make sure there wasn't a problem. To look at the cells, I add a blue dye to the sample and put it on a slide. This machine counts the number of white blood cells. After that, the rest of the white blood cells go into small plastic tubes and then into a special container called Mr. Frosty to keep them for future testing.
But what about the rest of the blood?
Here, let me show you. First, we have to use a stick to remove the gel barrier, and then we can wash the cells. We add some wash solution and put the tube back in the centrifuge. Then, we put the sample on something called a vortex machine and add a chemical that preserves fatty acids, so we can analyze those in the future.
Wow, you guys look at a lot of things in the blood. But what do you do with all the samples? I mean, you can't keep them all here, can you?
No, we don't have space for that. We've already collected over 15,000 blood samples from Teddy Washington kids alone. That's way too many to keep here. Most of them get sent to a big repository in Maryland, but some of the samples get sent directly to other Teddy labs, like the antibody lab in Colorado.
Let's check in with Rachel in Colorado and see what they're doing. Guys, I'm so glad you could come by. This is our antibody processing lab with our special Teddy robot. Here is the Teddy robot. Those tubes in the rack are all the Teddy samples. The robot reads the barcode on the tube and draws up a small amount of serum, which it adds to a white tray called a plate. A chemical is added to the samples in the plate, which is then wrapped in foil to be refrigerated overnight. The next day, a detector is added to the plate which will determine if you have autoantibodies. Then, the plate is put into a machine that washes the samples as you would wash your hands. The plate is then inserted into an instrument to read the results and upload them to the computer. These are the autoantibody results your parents receive in the mail.
Thanks for stopping by to see us. I'm going to send you back to Emily Washington now.
It was so cool to come up and see the Teddy Lab and learn about what happens to your blood samples. I hope that you guys had fun. If you want to meet Scientist Steve or some of the other Teddy scientists next time you're here, just let us know. Thank you again for all that you do for Teddy and for diabetes research. You guys are the best group of junior scientists ever.